Hi, this is Dave Edelman, and I'm here to talk through my second video in a series about how to help executives understand ways of bringing AI into the core of their strategy and to get the value from it for their businesses. In the first video, I talked about a simple framework for understanding what AI can do. Now, in this one, I want to talk about some of the more strategic implications that you should be thinking through as you start to explore use cases, ways of actually bringing AI to bear in your operations. The first is thinking about AI as an efficiency tool. And certainly that is something that all of the different media that are out there that are hyping AI talk about how it can automate the generation of content, analyses that could be done, repetitive tasks, and just borrowing a framework from the Generative Geni Institute, that any task that requires evaluating words, images, numbers, or sounds, WINS or WINS. And the Gen AI Institute has done a good job of really fleshing that out. But any tasks that involve repetitively going through and assessing those are going to be strong candidates for AI. Those are going to be places where you look to create a way for a tool to actually learn how to do a task, understand what defines quality or not, make sure you're bringing together the data to support that. But those types of efficiencies are probably going to be the first place you start to look. And from what I've seen with clients, aiming for a 30% improvement in productivity in those tasks is actually pretty reasonable. A few companies have seen that as ways to cut costs. Most have actually looked at it as ways to scale, to actually be able to get done a lot more with the same number of people, getting their throughput out there and get more capacity going through their operations. So the first is from a tactical perspective, trying to find those efficiencies. The second is thinking about new ways of delivering a customer experience. And in my next video after this, I'm going to do a very deep dive into personalization. But in the short term, for now, thinking about ways you can actually bring those words, images, numbers, and sounds that I mentioned earlier to bear to actually help a customer get something done that they could not have done before, to get access to information, to bring information together. And the most obvious of these that we've seen already are chatbots, ways where customers can actually ask a question, write into some type of text box, and now in a more sophisticated way than before, get an answer to their query. How to get something done. What are the different ways I could approach something? Could you do this for me? How do I fix something that's broken? Those are all customer service questions, and that's often one of the first places that chatbots and improvements to customer experiences are being offered. But there's also going to be others that are more empowering than just chatbots, more that are around agent capabilities. So, for example, I would not be surprised if very soon more of the big travel companies, large-scale companies like Marriott, let's say, offer you the opportunity to type in, I would like to go to Spain with my family of 4. We have a budget of $10,000. We'd like to be able to go for 9 days. We have an interest in art, but we also have 2 teenage kids. We don't want to travel more than 3 cities. Help us start to create an itinerary, and then Give us two different ones and book the one that we choose. Those kinds of capabilities, which are empowering customers to be able to execute through an agent type capability, are going to become more and more available. And in fact, we're going to see that influence the way interfaces are in even basic software. Microsoft's Copilot, for example, is going to allow you to get things done without having to go through all the drop-down menus. You just say what you want to get done and the PowerPoint will be generated, the Excel spreadsheet set up, and that'll be an execution that can be done on your behalf. So the second after efficiency is thinking about the customer experience. But now I want to get more strategic. I want to start looking more broadly at possibilities, because several of the things AI can do can be brought together to create something that's more competitively distinguished. So because AI can actually bring together different types of data, as I talked about in my last video, AI can actually start to support the creation of new kinds of ecosystems that can work together to get something done for a customer. So imagine Home Depot or Lowe's allowing you to say, here's a picture of my current bathroom. I want to redesign it. I have a budget of $7,000 to go after this. Here are 3 or 4 inspirations of designs that I like. Help me understand the different options, the specific products that would go into it, the features of those products that would be interesting and cool for me, and give me 5 options that I can choose from. And then when I choose it, help me get through the scheduling and execution. For Home Depot to do that, it's not just a Home Depot database type capability. That is going to connect with product manufacturers, it's going to connect with installers, and there's a broader ecosystem that Home Depot would have to bring together to make that happen. They will, and others will too. They'll create those kinds of partnerships, and we're going to see more ecosystem-based competition as customers are able to use text entry to talk about what it is they're looking for, and companies use AI to bring together the breadth of their ecosystem to go after that. So from a strategy perspective, do you want to create the ecosystem? Do you expect to be part of someone else's? Or are you going to be locked out? And who's going to actually own the customer relationship? Who's going to divide the spoils, so to speak, from those kinds of relationships? There's lots of open questions there from a strategy perspective. But thinking about things from an ecosystem point of view becomes really critical. And then the fourth thing that I want to talk about from a strategy perspective with AI is thinking about how independent or dependent you want to be on the actual tools that are providing you with AI capabilities. As you start embedding AI systems in your business, especially those that are built on data and knowledge from elsewhere, are you possibly at risk of becoming too dependent on others? And the cost of these AI systems are going to get higher and higher as they get more and more data involved in them and more capabilities. So what's going to be the trade-off between dependency on one system, having multiple systems, building your own capabilities, maybe on top of other capabilities? And there are a number of different options for how to play this game. In one of the pieces that I wrote for the Harvard Business Review with Silvio Palumbo from Boston Consulting Group, we talked about smart integration. And smart integration is thinking about your technology stack very strategically from the point of view of capabilities you want to build versus those you want to buy, and which should fit together in what kind of configuration. And there are many different options to play this, but strategically, it has to be on the table for your business, because you could be at quite a lot of risk if you become too dependent on outside parties who are essentially going to be running more of the intelligence behind your operations. So in this video, I just want to start sparking 4 different dimensions of thought from a strategic perspective. Where can I drive more efficiency? 30% more efficiency in operations, especially those that, again, from the Gen AI Institute, that use words, images, numbers, and sounds. Second, how can I make dramatic changes in a customer's experience to either personalize it or empower them by getting access to new information or capabilities that they could not get before? Third, how do I think about the ecosystem of competition that I want to be a part of and my role in it? And then fourth, how do I think about the smart integration strategy that I'll need to assemble my technology and AI capabilities so that I can be master of my own destiny? So these are conversations that every leadership team should have and should drive the discussion of different scenarios by which you can play. They're not mutually exclusive. You've got to consider them all. And as you do that, I would love to hear examples of how this is playing out in your business. In my next video, I'm going to dive a bit more deeply into personalization, especially since that's the topic of my upcoming book. Thank you.